Gen Z men are facing a friendship crisis. Let's see what's driving us Gen Z men to be lonely and not being like all together and talking about our feelings and sitting and being all nice and being friendly and shit like that. Let's tap in. Let's see.
In the modern world, who struggles more, men or women? Of course, it depends what we mean by struggle. If by struggle you're talking about something like dating apps, then men might have women beat. But what about the all-encompassing term of loneliness? Again, you'll probably say men. We're constantly hearing about the male loneliness epidemic plaguing first world countries right now and how big of a problem it is. But what does the data actually say? This is where things get a little murkier.
Before we get into it though, I want to just sit here and I want to assume that it's men. Simply because I'm speaking from experience of being a man who, like, friendships, especially when you get older, right? When you get older and you really thrown out into the real world and you were adulting and you start to stack up your own priorities and problems and things that you gotta put front and center. You can't always prioritize other people like you were when you're younger. You can't really prioritize friendships like you did. Like, you can, but it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost of your mental. It comes at a cost of your physical, your time. And sometimes when you're older, it's just like you feel like you don't always have the time in the world for even yourself. So how are you going to give time to other people? Now, I say, to answer his question, he said, who has it harder in the modern time? I don't even want to focus it on dating. Like, cause if it comes down to dating, it's men. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we know that. I feel like that's something that we'll always know. But at the same time, if we're talking the overall experience, it has to be a man, because at the end of the day, nobody's coming to save you as a man. Unless you're a nepo baby, you got $1 billion father or $1 billion granddaddy, or you fucking you like the 8th generation of fucking the nigga who invented the railroad tracks or some shit like that. Unless you're a part of that lineage, at some point in your life as a man, if you don't prioritize the things that are important, you're going to struggle. And there's not going to be somebody that's there to automatically pick you up, as opposed to, let's say, like a woman. I believe a woman's, it's not their sole purpose, but most women, they're going to be taken care of somehow, some way. Whether it's their father, whether it's their boyfriend, their husband. Like, there's going to be a man in their life at some point in time that is going to step up and help them. You know what I'm saying? Men don't always get that. A lot of men don't even have fucking dads nowadays. Excuse my French. I want to stop swearing because I want my videos to appeal to more people, and I know some people don't like that swearing stuff. So we trying to get better at that aspect. But I say all that to say, if I'm just giving my opinion, I believe men do have it harder in a lot of aspects of living, as opposed to the whole, now if it comes to bringing life and stuff into the world, women got it. You know what I'm saying? that whole giving birth, and that's why me saying men have it harder does not mean that women are less than. You know what I'm saying? Men and women, we all hold value on this earth. Everybody does.
One study by the American Institute for Boys and Men found that men and women spend a similar amount of time alone and report similar levels of loneliness. However, if we look at young women specifically, that is, women from the 8th grade all the way to age 29, they actually report higher rates of loneliness than young men in most studies. And in another survey by The Argument, women self-reported more intense feelings of both emotional distress and social isolation across all age ranges. If that's the case, then why is this crisis of loneliness so commonly attributed to men? What deeper truth does this reveal about how we as men define friendships? And what kind of damage has this been causing to society for centuries now? Let's explore these questions.
I don't know, because hearing those metrics, they don't really make sense, because from what I see, from what I hear, from what I know, it's easier for women to make friends, but at the same time, if you know women friendships, them motherfuckers will fall out about anything. They'll fall out about anything. And it's like, with men friendships, they're not men don't instantly become friends like that. Like we always become associates. We'll if you encounter somebody multiple times at a certain place, like before you even know their name, you'll be nodding. You'll like, what's up? How you doing? What's going on, bro? What's up with you, big dog? Like stuff like that. But then when you finally cross that barrier of just being a mere acquaintance because we share the same routines or same areas or whatever, once that person becomes a friend, men be locked in for life. You know what I'm saying? We be locked in. Like male friendships are realer than female friendships. I'll say that, but I also feel like it's easier for females to make acquaintances in any environment. Like I don't know how they do it, but some like a lot of women, they can make a friend like that. They could be in a line of Starbucks and they just start chatting it up over their fucking coffee orders and shit. Like little weird stuff like that, or I don't know. But I do believe that's why it's hard for me to believe, because I've seen a lot of women just extend their hand. Now, how long that bond lasts, it's up to them. How long that friendship lasts is up to them.
Quick disclaimer, throughout this video, I'm going to be referring to statistics and insights I first discovered in a Substack article by Derek Thompson and expanding upon those ideas. First, let's give us men a little bit more validation for our feelings of loneliness, because when it comes to making and keeping close friends, we are absolute ass at it. From 1990 to 2021, the percentage of women who said they had more than 10 close friends fell from 28% to 11%, but for men in that same time period, the percentage dropped from 40% to just 15%. And the size of these social circles do matter. There is no tangible difference in feelings of loneliness between someone who has only one close friend and someone who has no close friends. But what do we even mean when we say close friends, right? Without a definition, that seems like a pretty subjective term on the surface. Well, in this context, when we're talking about close friends, we mean people you can reach out to when facing a personal problem who aren't part of your family or household. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans reported having no close social connections, a double-digit increase from 2013. But for young men specifically, the decline was much more pronounced. More than 1 in 4 reported having no close social connections.
And this is interesting because this is how, I don't want to say this is how I define friendships between any species in my head, but just allow yourself to think this, right? If you were to fall on hard times, if you were to get laid off from work and you need fucking, let's say 300, nothing even drastic. It could be $300, 300, 400, or even $500. I need $500 so I can pay my rent that's late. Do you have anybody in your inner friend group, in your inner circle that you can go to? Not a, like you said, not a family member, not a relative, not anybody that's drawn to you by blood. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that you've met throughout your life that you're so close with. Like, that you're so close with, so locked in with. Like, if they needed something, if they needed the skin off your back, you can provide it. You know what I'm saying? Like, those type of people. A lot of people don't have that. So, this is why, like, I'll be so, how can I phrase it? I'm not always quick to label somebody my friend. I'm not always so quick to label somebody like, oh, we locked in, you're my brother, that type shit. I'm never quick to do that because you never know how down people are for you until, unfortunately, you fall on hard times. This sucks that that's always the case or that's always the circumstance. But in a lot of times, that's the only time you find out if that person that's a ride or die is truly a ride or die. If they truly got your back, if you can truly depend on them for anything. And I want to say I do have friends. Like I love my friends. But if I had to be honest with myself and honest with my situation, if I was to lose everything I had, if I was to lose my car, or if I was to be, I'd like to think some of them, oh, bro, you need a place to stay for the night, here, come sleep on my couch, or come, you know what I'm saying, here. But at the same time, you never really know. You never really know how much people are invested in you, even though you know how much you're invested in them. Like, if niggas needed to stay at my house, by all means. If niggas needed to borrow my car for a day, fuck nigga. For a day you got it. But like, know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more lenient because I know myself. But you never truly know people until you in these situations. And it's not every day that you just lose everything. It's like, you know.
Actions. Now at this point, you might be a little confused. Men are experiencing greater declines in friendships, and yet women have higher rates of loneliness? What exactly is going on here? In my opinion, it's a mix of a lot of different things. How men are often worse at putting a name to loneliness, how the activities we choose slightly exacerbate this, how our culture has subconsciously pushed us towards self-reporting those feelings, and the types of media men now consume. So I'm going to do my best to explain all these different facets and how they interconnect. It might seem obvious, but in order to report that you are lonely, you must recognize the fact that you are lonely. And if your daily activities don't give you the space to understand those feelings, you're probably going to think of loneliness as this temporary kind of, oh yeah, I'm sad and shit, but I'll just get over it and do something else. Writer Richard Reeves talks about the distinction between male and female contexts as face-to-face versus shoulder-to-shoulder. In short, women and children are more likely to meet face-to-face, doing things that don't require a centralizing activity, while men often require a centralizing activity as an excuse to hang out. As Derek Thompson stated, Todd Rogers, a professor at Harvard Kennedy School, did a study where he went to the American Time Use Survey, which looks at how people spend their time, whether they're eating, cooking, shopping, playing video games, and he asked men and women how likely they'd be to invite somebody to do each of these things. For women, it was most categories. Yeah, I could invite somebody to go shopping, sit and have coffee, come over while I'm cooking. But for guys, it was basically watch sports or do sports. In the Substack article, they use this to argue that this is one of the main—
Men are just mad simple. And then at the same time, I don't think it's weird that if you wanted to invite your boys out to, like, even if it's just one, like you got one close ass friend, you're like, you want to go get some wings, you want to go get some eats, and y'all go to a bar and get some wings and get a drink or whatever, and even then y'all sitting side by side. I just don't think it's in men's anatomy to say, yo, bro, you trying to go to Olive Garden and y'all niggas get a booth and y'all sitting face to face and y'all just gossiping, or y'all just like, that don't sound like a, you know, that don't sound like a time amongst men. It just doesn't. And also men, we just tend to like more physical activities. Like you said, most of the time it revolves around sports, but a lot of the times they don't even got to be sport. It could be a physical activity in general. Men like doing things. Like if you're hanging out with people, you want to actually do stuff. There's a lot of women who can hang out with their friends. Like if you were in college, you would see it all the time. It'd be a whole bunch of girls in the dorm room just sitting in one space on their phones. Like they're not doing anything. Like I never understood that, and I've been around it. I've seen it. Like I never understood that. A lot of women could just be in one space and not do anything. And don't get me wrong, sometimes that happens with men too, where it's just like you want to vibe with the bros. We all together, we just on TikTok, on our phone, but it's rare. Somebody will spark that 2K up. Somebody will spark that Madden up. Somebody will play a game. You want to play cards. Oh, let's go hoop. Let's go do this. Let's go do something that involves us to actually not only just be around each other, but enjoy the time that we're around each other. As opposed to women who, like, they could be doing nothing. They could be staring at a clock together, and then one of them gonna get a text from a boy that they've been ghosting, and they gonna talk about it for 40 minutes, and they'll, you know, that's how it works. I don't know.
Reasons why men have such a tough time making friends, but I also think it helps explain why men, despite having fewer close friends, report lower levels of loneliness. Women spend more time in contexts where they are engaging in deep conversation and emotional disclosure. As a result, if something feels off socially, they're more likely to notice it, discuss it, and label it. Men, on the other hand, spend more time in activity-centered environments where attention is directed towards the task itself, like sports, games, projects, work, lifting, or watching a game. So when a man's social life deteriorates, he might not immediately experience that deterioration as "I am lonely." Instead, it manifests through other negative outlets like irritability, aimlessness, mood swings, excessive drinking, gaming, or, of course, fapping a lot. As Derek puts it, the problem isn't that men are lonely. The problem is that many men wouldn't recognize loneliness if it punched them in the gut and poured a beer on their head. I mean, I think loneliness itself is part of the problem, unlike what he's suggesting here, but being able to recognize loneliness when it arises would certainly help. What's to blame for this? Well, one aspect that affects both men and women is how incredibly easy it is to numb our feelings just to the point where it feels like we have satisfied our need for connection. This is a topic that's been heavily discussed on the internet by now, and it goes by different names depending on who is talking, but the most commonly known one is friction. In the past, social friction dominated our lives. If you wanted to have a social experience with friends, it required you to walk, get on your bike, or get in a car, go to a physical meeting place, and talk with people face to face. Now it is much easier to simulate that experience by door dashing an order, hopping on Discord, and playing video games or doing something similar. Now, I'm not saying this is always a bad thing. The internet has given us a much greater opportunity to connect with others around the world, and has provided some people who might otherwise always have had a hard time making friends in real life, whether due to a disability or some form of illness, a way of replicating a similar sort of connection. But for a lot of able-bodied people, it's used as a suppression tool, one that convinces the mind that it's receiving social connection for just long enough to create the illusion of satiety, like a bag of potato chips that leaves you full, yet nutritionally deficient. And in order for someone to realize they actually crave social connection, not just when they lay their head on the pillow at night, it would require them to sit with the feelings of loneliness rather than escape into these frictionless activities. But of course, technology isn't the whole story. The internet may be making it easier to ignore loneliness, but it doesn't explain why men are now less likely to rely on their friends in the first place. Because even when men recognize something is wrong, fewer of us seem willing to lean on each other for support. In 1990, nearly half of young men
And that's also what I touched on briefly in the beginning. And I just think it's that stigma, right? The stigma of what is a man, and it varies from person to person, right? A lot of different men have different ideas on what a man is, what a man should be. Hold on. Most men are more likely to whatever problem that they're facing, big or small, they're most likely to, you know what I'm saying, tuck it away. They don't even acknowledge it. They don't bring it to the attention of other people. They don't make it a main focus. Like a lot of women, if they're going through something, whether if it's big or small, and they're meeting with their girlfriends on a daily basis, this is going to be there's going to be a talking point at one point in their conversation. They're going to bring it up. The girl, this has been stressing me out. This is what I've been doing. This is what I'm struggling. This is what I'm going through. He ain't shit. She ain't shit. This, that, bada boom. But men, when it comes to our problems, a lot of us, we tend to just want to face it by ourselves. And honestly, I don't see, like, I'm not going to say I don't see anything wrong with it, because at the end of the day, the human aspect, everybody needs somebody to lean on. Like a little bit of outside perspective, outside of your head, never hurts anybody. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't hurt you to voice your concerns, your problems with somebody that's not in your brain, and then they're giving you perspective. Now, if that person's a fucking idiot and they just obviously, if you can't trust that person with some information and expect them to give you something in return to think about, or something in return in terms of like a conclusion, or you get what I'm trying to say. If you can't depend on a person to give you some type of vital information that you can use, I don't even think you would bother wasting your time and telling them in the first place. So I think that's what a lot of men go through, where it's not our first thing on the top of our heads to just go find somebody and talk about our problems. No, I'm gonna do everything in my power to fix my issue, and if I can't, it's probably my last resort.